The animals aren't suffering because we don't try hard enough to save them. They're suffering because we haven't built the systems that would make saving them possible. Who Will Let the Dogs Out has been inside more than 200 shelters across 17 states, many of them rural, many of them municipal shelters, most of them drastically underfunded and operating without the upstream support that would actually move the needle. And what we can tell you from firsthand experience is that the animals who are suffering the most are not in shelters that gave up on them. They're in systems that were handed a slogan instead of a solution. Save them all sounds like a mission, but when you follow it far enough, what it actually does is redirect energy away from root causes and towards metrics, toward live release rates, toward the appearance of saving without asking what happens next or why animals keep coming in the door. So let's talk about what actually helps. Affordable, accessible spay-neuter. Not the kind that exists in a city with 3 low-cost clinics and a robust rescue network. The kind that reaches the communities most impacted by overpopulation. Rural areas, under-resourced zip codes, places where nearest veterinarians are an hour away and the waiting list is months long. Overpopulation is a breeding pipeline problem. That means the solution is upstream. Every litter that doesn't happen is dozens of animals who never need to be saved. That's not a controversial idea. It's math. And yet it remains one of the most chronically underfunded interventions in animal welfare. Responsible pet ownership education in schools. The next generation of pet owners is sitting in classrooms right now. Most of them will make decisions about acquiring and keeping animals based on impulse, social media, and whatever they happen to grow up around. That is fixable. Humane education, real age-appropriate curriculum about what it means to commit to an animal, about spay-neuter, about resources available in their community, has documented outcomes. It changes behavior. It's the kind of investment that pays forward for decades, and it's rarely treated as a priority. Support for pet owners in crisis. Most surrenders are not the result of people who don't care about their animals. They're the result of people who ran out of options. A lost job, an eviction, a landlord who won't allow pets, a medical emergency, a new baby and no support system, and a dog with behavioral needs nobody prepared them for. When we meet those people with resources instead of judgment, with a food bank, a temporary foster, a behavior helpline, rental assistance, animals stay in their homes. And animals who stay in their homes don't need to be saved. The shelter's not the solution. The shelter is what happens when every other system has already failed. And that brings us to the part that Save Them All has made almost impossible to discuss honestly. Euthanasia. And I'm talking about true, humane euthanasia, not the criminally inhumane kind that tends to grab social media algorithms. Here's something that often gets lost in this conversation. All shelters euthanize, every single one. For severe medical conditions, for behavioral concerns that make safe placement genuinely unlikely, that has never been the debate. The debate is about what responsible sheltering actually looks like when the path forward isn't clear. And the answer, when you strip away the ideology, is this. You look at the dog in front of you. You ask honestly, what does this animal's future look like? Is there a realistic path to a life that's better than what they're experiencing now? Is adoption likely? Is suffering manageable? Is there somewhere safe for this dog to land? When the honest answer to those questions is no, euthanasia is not a failure. It's a compassionate choice. It's a choice made by people who are paying attention. Nobody likes it. No one in this field, not the workers, not the directors, not the advocates who spent years in shelters, finds it easy. It doesn't get easier. That's actually evidence that the people making these decisions are taking them seriously. What we want to push back on is the idea that euthanasia for overcrowding or for length of stay is automatically wrong or shameful. It's a decision that should never be taken lightly. It deserves transparency. It deserves documentation. It deserves honest conversation about what led there, which usually means a failure of resources, not a failure of compassion. But it cannot continue to be villainized, because when we villainize the decision, we villainize the people making it. And those people are already doing one of the hardest jobs in animal welfare, with the least support under the most scrutiny. The animals deserve better than a culture that shames the workers trying to do right by them. The animals don't need a slogan. They need a vet within driving distance. They need a community that was taught to value them. They need someone to show up before the crisis, not after. Every animal that enters a shelter is already asking us for something real, not a campaign, not a number on a spreadsheet, a chance at a life worth living, and the honesty to know when we can give them that and when we cannot. That's what we owe them.